I'll start with a confession. Back in the 1980s, I spent time at Sing Sing prison and on Rikers Island. You may be thinking, wow, this bald Jewish guy in his 60s who works for an accounting firm must have been a real badass back in the day. Either that or he was a criminal defense attorney. I'm afraid to say I'm not now, nor ever have been, a jail-qualifying badass. I've never been an attorney. No, back in the 1980s, I was a trade magazine reporter. Writing for trade magazines lacks the name recognition and glamour of writing for a big city newspaper or the New Yorker. Instead, I scribbled for niche publications like Dry Cleaners News, The Business of Fur, and Leather Today. But this line of work gave me entree to Sing Sing and Rikers. In 1984, I was writing for Quick Frozen Foods about the frozen food industry. The assignment, write about frozen foods at the big house in Ossining. That sounded fun. The headline I came up with for the story was, Frozen Food Fair gives prison chefs something to sing about. That wonderful title practically wrote itself. At Sing Sing, the staff gave me very clear instructions on how to get there from the Ossining train station a half-mile away. I arrived, signed in, and was frisked, then went with my notepad and camera to get that story. And a story it was. Nutrition Director John Caserta took pride in his operation to feed 2,200 men with a professional staff of 11 and 130 inmate workers, along with 14 security officers. Consistency is the key, as one official with the Bureau of Prisons said of the realities of prison life. He told me, in a pure socialistic society, everybody has what everyone else has. With any differences, a black market grows. Sergeant Leander McCall Jr., head of food service security, made a big impression on me. I described him as an imposing man with a handshake like a vice. He brooks no foolishness. Caserta described him as the motivator. My impression, dedicated people kept the place working. I also learned the first rule of prison's food service, and that rule is, ta-da, don't run out of food, because hungry customers are unhappy customers, and you don't want that in prison. So 4 years after Sing Sing, I had my adventure at Rikers. By then I was the East Coast editor of Video Store magazine, covering what was then the thriving video retailing industry. While Sing Sing was enjoyable, Rikers was epic. I was in the press cohort invited to Rikers when the rap group Public Enemy performed there. The performance was being filmed as part of a music video. Public Enemy was the first group ever to play at Rikers, and they came loaded with songs that instantly connected with the audience. You might have heard of them. Don't Believe the Hype, Bring the Noise, and of course the classic, Fight the Power. Well, I can't find any articles I wrote about Rikers, but I did make a laconic note in my journal on August 14th, 1988. That was after I returned exhausted from the big video industry convention in Las Vegas. I wrote, Friday wasn't much of a day off. I went to Rikers for the Public Enemy gig. That turned into an all-day romp in the heat of a prison, and I didn't get here, which is home, until 5:15. The best summary of the event is the 2013 article, Public Enemy at Rikers, an Oral History. It says, 250 prisoners, most of them black and Latino, entered the bare-bones auditorium. Even by August in NYC standards, it was brutally hot and the prisoners' jumpsuits were drenched in sweat. In keeping with the protocol, there were 2 guards per inmate, with an additional 25 to 30 guards outside the auditorium and additional officers from other houses on alert. The press, me, stood behind barricades and formed a horseshoe on the perimeter of the crowded room a few feet away from the inmates who were seated in plastic chairs. Yeah, I remember how hot it was, the ear-splitting noise, and that pen for the reporters who stuck out like pale, sore thumbs. So, what a memory. I also want to talk about another law-adjacent highlight of my journalism career, doing 6 hours of interviews for a Q&A with 60s radical Abbie Hoffman. Abbie knew his way around arrests and jails, but I'm out of time. That's for another open mic. Thank you.